this is the UzReport World. My name is Marifat Abdusharipova. Today, we have the opportunity to have an online interview with Andrew Staniland, an English poet, the author of poetic collection New Divan, inspired by a trip to Uzbekistan and Navoi's literature. So my first question is, what captivated you about Navoi's literature the most, and why have you chosen Navoi?
So when I got interested in Uzbekistan, I wanted to write a sequence of poems, and I wanted a literary focus for that. And as soon as you are introduced to Uzbekistan, Alisher Navoy, Mir Alisher is there to welcome you. Yeah. He's he's your national poet. He's such a huge figure. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, in England, he's almost unknown. Mm-hmm. So it felt like it was a worthwhile thing for me to do, to engage with him as an English poet and make that connection from English poetry to Alisher Navoy. So that was really the reason for that.
We know that you have recently announced the release of your poetic collection you have been working on for a long time. What brought you to write this collection?
So this is the book, a new Divan hat-tip Alisher Navoy. Mm-hmm. And I took the photo when I was in Uzbekistan. So one thing to say is that I'm just a poet. I'm not a scholar, and I'm new to Central Asia and Uzbekistan. I haven't been studying it for decades. But that's okay, because what poetry it's about getting excited, getting inspired, and getting lucky. Mm. And I got excited when I started reading about Uzbekistan. I got inspired when I visited, and I really got lucky writing the collection. So I read what I could for a few months. And then I went there for my first trip exactly a year ago, in February of last year. So I think a year ago today, I was in Samarkand, mm-hmm. And it was raining all day. But I had a great trip. It was really, really inspiring. And that's good. That's good, because my plan for Navoy, which I think was a good plan to connect English people to a poet who wasn't unknown. Unfortunately, there was a flaw in that plan, which is one reason why he isn't known in England is because there are very few translations of his work. Mm-hmm. And I don't read Chagatai, so I can't read the originals. So there are very few translations of his that I could read and get material from. Thankfully, Uzbekistan itself is so wonderful. I mean, it's so beautiful, it's so inspiring that I was able to write a lot of poems about the country itself and the culture and the history and everything. So that more than made up for the lack of translations of Navoy. So that was how it came about. And I had the trip, as I say, a year ago. I got back to London. A week later, Uzbekistan closed its airspace. Then, of course, the lockdown started everywhere. And I mean, thank goodness I didn't book the trip a month later or 2 months later, because I was there before it all shut down. I came back to London and was just able to write the collection, and a lot more poems from that trip than I thought I would.
So after this collection, what are your writing plans? Do they include Uzbekistan?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Uh-huh. I feel like I've only started with Uzbekistan, and with this collection, my plan was to have the trip last February, write a few poems, come again, write a few more poems, maybe come again. It would have been a whole long process. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I wrote the collection from just that one trip. As soon as we can travel again, the place I want to go to, the only place I want to go to is Uzbekistan. There are so many more things that I want to see and do, and I do feel inspired by so many things there, really. I mean, it's how to explain it. This is it's not just kind of a one-off thing. Oh, there's Uzbekistan, I'll write about it and then move on. It's just very nourishing for me as a poet. And I've already started a new collection, and it's more diverse, but there is a Central Asian thread running through it. And yes, so definitely, I hopefully will be writing inspired by Uzbekistan from now on.
So my last request is, can you read some of the poems of the collection?
This is the first poem in the collection, and I've highlighted it so you can see the meter of it.
Okay.
And this is about me engaging with Alisher Navoy and being inspired by him. I gaze upon and gaze upon his ghazals, and it seems as though I have been reading roses or the rows of tiles, the I, the O, under a glaze in turquoise cursive or in damask buds, the ink of which was that strong odour that a poem has when poets think.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Wow.
And I will read two poems about that sort of explain how I was inspired by Uzbekistan and why I was inspired. So this is the first one. A garden of geometry upon a mausoleum wall of magical majolica, and arguably always will be what the image is when I am contemplating as a goal the calm complexity that marks a consummately conscious soul. And this is the last poem in the collection. The subject is unending, but to any Uzbek, I would say that what wows me the most about it isn't anything I see, the blue blues of Bukhara or the symmetries of Samarkand, but how hospitable you are, and hand on heart, how simply kind.
Thank you so much for your interview, Mr. Staniland. We would like to see you soon in Uzbekistan again.
Bye. Bye.